Hello, lovely people. It is a beautiful day. I am so happy to be here with you. God and Goddess, thank you so much for the lovely day that is all this nature surrounding me, for the beautiful sun and the warmth. Thank you so much for safe travels and for the means to be able to travel and to see friends and family. And thank you so much for existence. Please help us to all be loving and kind and to climb the golden ladder. Help us to share what we have, whether it's material resources or the light that we have to others, so that we can help each other, help uplift the world and make it a better place. In the name of Elohim, I pray. Amen. Today on the Nazarene calendar, it is Heritage Day, and in the Nazarene book of Genesis from the Holy Megillah, the Nasarean Bible of the Essene Way, translated by Dave Greenleaf and available at essene.org, this is where the actual midday contemplations are given to Abdiel in the Garden of Eden. That's when the Nazarene religion was established. So all these other things that came afterwards, people that want to kind of put dates on their religion, well, this one literally goes back to the very, very beginning before the others were established. So anyways, it says on the fifth day, lo, like a raging river, the past flows into the present. Lo, this river carries all the good and bad things of previous generations and deposits both on the shore of the present, which is your shore. Yea, the sins of your ancestors are present in your blood, as the sins of past cultures are present in your customs. Embrace the helpful things of previous generations, but reject the hurtful, and pray that you pass on better things to the next generation. Therefore, at midday of the fifth day, contemplate peace with your heritage. Yea, speak these words. Our God and Goddess, immanent and transcendent, send to all your angel of peace. May wisdom guide us as we accept or reject things from the past. May your angel of wisdom bless all that we pass on to the future. I love that. I love thinking of the new different traditions that I will be able to start with my own family, children, whatever. I don't know why I said plural, but I'm not gonna have like plural families. But anyways, and all of the cool different ways to raise a child that are in alignment with nature and its beauty, and embracing all of the the seven branches and seven roots of the tree of life, and the angelic messengers, and all these different ways of the Essene path. So super excited to share this with my children. Today I wanted to read from chapter 28 of the Holy God Spell. That is the Holy God Spell, just like the Gospels. It's the not the Old Testament, so to speak, but the New Testament. It's talking about Christ and Miriam. This is again from chapter 28, and Yahshua is in India, in Benares. A Hindu man, this is verse 951. A Hindu man, recognizing Yahshua from a previous encounter, said to him, I heard you discourse in the market on the equality of women and men, even asserting the right of women to the priesthood. You were so bold as to affirm the right of women to choose their own husbands and to divorce their husbands. You went so far as to call it a crime for a woman to be burned alive in the funeral fire of her husband. But if the woman does not end her incarnation when her husband dies, how then will she serve him in the afterlife? What an interesting mentality to have, to think that a woman needs to, die with her husband. But I was doing a little bit of research on this ritual, and it's called Sati, Sati. This article says that some scholars claim that Sati was an obligatory duty of a woman, and she had to die alongside her husband's body to ensure that all the sins of them and their family were cleansed, and also to prevent from bringing disgrace to herself and her family. Sometimes when a woman denied performing sati, many people forced her to immolate herself, and many even tried to throw her into the fire forcefully. But other scholars say otherwise, that the sati was an optional and voluntary act and not a compulsory one. They believe that a Hindu widow was given some time to think about sati, whether she wanted to die alongside her husband's body or continue her life. It's really interesting to learn about this. And sometimes they would say, hey, if you die alongside of your husband, then all the resources can go to your family. Other groups would say, if you do this, you are such an honorable woman, and they would even make them essentially into saints. And there's temples that are built in honor of some of these women, which obviously is a part of the agenda to kind of fuel a suicidal, anti-female suicidal kind of ideation. And anyways, we're going to continue reading and see what Yahshua has to say about it, and then read a story about him actually getting involved in this. Yahshua replied, in Yah, the masculine and feminine principles are equal. Jah and Jala are equal, as are women equal with men. Every wife with her husband, and every girl with every boy. At lower levels of consciousness, less egalitarian options dominate the culture. When those opinions unjustly harm other beings, those beings are within their right to seek redress, even if that means breaking an unjust law. I tell you here and now, to burn a woman alive in the funeral fire of her deceased husband is a crime before the true God and Goddess. The true servants of God and Goddess, regardless of what name they call deity, will wage war on that vile practice. Even so, let the war be nonviolent. I say to you, be not concerned with who will serve you in the afterlife. Rather, concern yourself with serving others here and now. A few more pages forward in verse 1067, it says, in the countryside outside Benares, upon the return from Ganga Dwara, Yahshua and Yohanan came upon a funeral party. Behold, a young woman, just widowed, was being forcibly dragged to be burned upon the funeral fire of her deceased husband. Lo, Yohanan said to Yahshua, let us intervene on her behalf. Yahshua replied, Yohanan, your courage is one of the reasons why I proudly call you my best friend. Yes, let us intervene immediately. Then Yahshua and Yohanan ran to the fire and pulled the woman from the grasp of the men attempting to burn her. Neither Yahshua nor Yohanan said a word. They simply grabbed the woman and walked away, leaving the funeral attendees in shocked amazement. After Yahshua and Yohanan disappeared into the woods with the young woman, the men who wanted to burn her said to one another, those two foreigners are too big and strong for us old men to fight. Therefore, let us raise a posse to give chase. Yahshua and Yohanan with the young woman escaped to the Nasarean encampment outside Benares. The overseeing priestess of the encampment, Betin Jala, said to Yahshua and Yohanan, each of you have fulfilled your time here. Leave now before they slay you. The young woman begged to go with them, saying, if I stay here, I will be burned. Betin Jala gave her blessings, and the three departed the next morning. They traveled together to Yohanan's home in Jerusalem. On the journey to Jerusalem, Yohanan and the young woman, whose name was Sita, fell deeply in love. At a Nazarene home in Jerusalem, Yohanan and Sita were wed. After the wedding, Yahshua went to a mount in the wilderness. Yea, the time had come for Yahshua to minister unto Yesra'el and Yisrael, but he felt called to first have a deep Sabbath rest upon the mount. After the rest, he would journey unto Mount Carmel to commune with his relatives and certain elders. Then he would travel south unto Halajah Ford to meet with the Magdalene. The next chapter actually goes into the 3 tempters. So I've actually read that to you before if you're interested in learning about the deep Sabbath rest and what happens with that. But as a side note, those 2 names in here, this is a footnote from page 85 of the Holy Megillah. The Hebrew word Yisrael literally means right with Elohim and implies a right relationship with Elohim. So they would be called the nation of Yisrael. This is in contrast to the Hebrew word Yisrael, which is Israel, which means he will rule as Elohim. Some authorities translate Yisrael as he struggles with Elohim. By either translation, Yisrael or Israel implies a wrong relationship with Elohim. That is in direct contrast to the word Yisrael, which is the Nazarene nation, by which the Nazarene nation is designated. So it's really interesting to read about these 2 nations that both went by such a similar name. And interesting that they really, oh, I didn't realize I was so tiny on that screen. Sorry. Didn't, oh, to see that the false Yahweh has literally been just taking what is there and demonizing it, perverting it, stealing it, just as he does with the name Yahweh, right? He went around saying, I'm Yahweh, I'm your God. You need to go kill animals so that you can become dense like me. We read a little bit later that he started calling himself, Elohim when he mated with Lilith. They started trying to claim God and goddess title for themselves. And different ways that this is the same with the title, right? Yisrael and Yisrael, but even just changing it a little deviation to corrupt and pervert it. Reminds me of the pentagram, right? They take this and something that literally symbolizes. I was recently in a conversation with a nice woman from across the pond, and she grew up in Iran, and she actually said that if I would go there, that the people would embrace me, and that this is a positive symbol to them, and it is a symbol of the Abrahamic religion in general. So it's really interesting how you can go to one place and they understand what this symbol means and they embrace it and it's a good thing. And then in America, usually, especially in mainstream Christianity, these signs and symbols are demonized and they're evil and they're satanic. Obviously, we're talking about, there's a difference between the upright pentagram and the upside down one, right? The inversion. This is the upright star, right? The head at the top point, the arms and the 2 legs, and what those stand for. And obviously, there's all sorts of cool implications with like the upward spiral and all this stuff. And then this inversion of it and being upside down and inverting the inverted spiral, right? The downward spiral. Really cool stuff. Anyways, I thought that was really cool. I got to research a little bit more this morning about these, ritualistic traditions of burning women alive in their funeral fires. We read at the beginning of chapter 28, that's the introduction to, or that's like the story of Christ's time in India, talks about how the first ashrams there were actually Nazarene encampments. So like once El Kush fell and they got dispersed everywhere, right? They're like persecuted people, and you can't, if you start getting a group together and forming a little kibbutza, like you're at high risk of your whole place getting burned down. And I mean, that's probably like the best case scenario because there's other people that were literally killed to be eaten as meat. So I don't know. I think I'd probably rather be burned. But yeah, just to think about how crazy the time that they lived in was. But anyways, them, the Nazarene encampments being the first ashrams in India, and how Hinduism got corrupted and perverted over time. It was like the Nazarenes shared their teachings and a lot of them got embraced. But even in the Holy Megillah, we read about how the Bhagavad Gita is corrupted, and how this teaching of the war, with the mind and the heart, this internal battle against demons and your own inner struggles, was turned into a violent battlefield of actual warfare and used to promote physical war and suppression of women and other, all these different negative things that were not intended. So I guess it's just really interesting to see how things are corrupted over time. And all these different facets of our reality. Hey Kyle, how's it going? Kyle says it's snowing here. Oh no. Winter has begun. Is this the first snow for you for the year? Because if so, I guess at least it waited until December. I remember like growing up in Ohio, it would snow like oftentimes on Thanksgiving. Like that would be kind of the first snow of the year, and it wasn't so cold at that time. And yeah, I remember some good memories from childhood. David says, thank you for making the Megillah freely accessible. I've given your chirp page out to many. Oh, thanks. I'm definitely just happy to be part of the dissemination. I am, excited to get to. I was recently told within like the past week that I don't know how many details I even told everybody, but I get to help with the new chapters that haven't been released yet. And I was told that should be starting relatively soon. So I'm super excited about getting to help and getting to just share this and use the platform that I have, because this stuff is literally like just fanned the flame of my soul and helped me come to a lot better relationship with God and Goddess, a lot deeper understanding of the reality, and even the perspective change of going from the Aaronite Bible of God is this jealous, angry, wrathful deity that requires blood sacrifice, and all of the implications and beliefs, and all of this, you're not worthy, you're a sinner that can never be good enough, like all these different things that you learn in that, and then contrasting that with the Holy Megillah is just so awesome. And the verse that just popped into my mind in contrast with that is that the Immaculate Conception teachings that every child is born holy. And once we understand that and embrace that and really try to, keep their holiness going once they come earthside, then the world's really going to become a better place. Right now, even this, oh, we're all born sinners, and this negative, it's just so negative to viewing of life. So anyways, I'm just grateful to be able to share it with other people and hopefully inspire them and bring these higher teachings that will bring love and compassion into our world. When I was growing up, this band called Never Shout Never, the lead person, they are the first persons to expose me to this idea of love is my religion. So it's really cool for me to go through this awakening process and see how, like back in high school, I was like, oh, love is my religion. And yes, trust me, I fell from this. I went through a lot of stuff and like strayed from that path, but it's really cool to see how it's like I was already vibing with these ideas. Oh no. Not sure if I lost connection on just my computer or on the streaming device. So let me just double check that I'm still going. It's really cool to just look back and okay, cool, and see different aspects of our soul's light shining through even when we are asleep. So, okay, I guess I'm on here. Duty says forcibly dragged doesn't sound too voluntary. Exactly. And those scholars, who knows, like some of my research was showing in different states having different kind of beliefs about it. So again, like some of them were like, hey, you should do this so that your people get the inheritance, and or over here, hey, you should do this so that you're seen as a saint or whatever. And maybe also a mix of different things too. And maybe at first it was forcible and then became voluntary later. And so it's kind of like, who knows how much of a history is even true. But I do personally, like, the Megillah resonates with me. And I don't believe that those details are being, exaggerated. So David, he says it's so cool. You are the first initiate of the Order of Yohanan. He really was Christ's best friend. I never knew this. Yeah, it's so cool too. And he is, the apostle of the holy plant. So there's going to be some really cool ways that I get to help bring the hemp plant, the cherub's gift to earth, cannabina, to the awareness of people, whether it's medicinal and healing, like literally healing cancer. Am I gonna get banned for that? Okay. different, mental issues that it can help with, PTSD, depression, all these different things. So internally, spiritually, but also on a physical level, replacing plastics and all of the like different oils and paper products and clothing and so many different things. Like the hemp plant can literally fix pretty much all of the issues that we're not all, but there's a whole bunch of issues that are going on that hemp can help fix. So I'm super excited about all of the things that are going to, come about from all of this. So yeah, actually next week on Tuesday, I'm going to be traveling up. Well, probably I'll be going up Monday morning. On Tuesday, I get to go and help one of the priestesses move her stuff. A lot of the church people are kind of elderly, and so being an able-bodied, young one that's excited to like, I love helping people, and especially helping people that are like tied to the Holy Megillah and like my spiritual family, essentially, right? Like, something that I loved growing up was being part of the church family and going and praise and worship and just being in that environment with people that believe the same things, and that it's just kind of this nice unity. And so it's really cool to get that with the Holy Megillah, especially because these scriptures are so suppressed, and also like it's kind of just, yeah, suppressed and unaccepted by so many people. So it's really nice to have that kind of environment. Kyle said, or sorry, Kyle does say that too. Kyle says, no, November 30th was the first, and we got like 6 inches of snow. Oh, wow. Okay. Man, snow is nice sometimes. I probably would rather be a person that like lives in warm temperatures. And then if I feel like it around Christmas time, go to like a little vacation or a Christmas town, maybe do some skiing or something, whatever the snow activity is, and then leave, as opposed to living in it. Because man, I'm not really a big fan. David says, are you going live at 3:30? Yes, I do plan to go live at 3:30. So hopefully you will all join me for some chatting about the truth of our reality, whatever kind of conspiracy topics come about. I am still a flat earther and still into, researching conspiracy theories and different kinds of cool things. One of the topics that I plan to talk about today is homunculus, and some of these well, there's videos that have gone around from Russian scientists that have made these monsters in eggs. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that and some of the history and, yeah, whatever else comes about to chat about. So hopefully you will join. David says, I'm so excited to read these new chapters on Yohanan. Me too. I am too. Oh, Kyle says it was actually November 29th, not the 30th. Okay. Does November have 30 days? What's the days that months that I'm trying to get even more away from the Gregorian calendar? So yeah. Hazy Proxy, how's it going? Speaking of getting away from the Gregorian calendar, on the 21st is the Nasarean New Year. That's when our new year starts. Super excited that that's also the day that church is scheduled. So I'll be able to go and celebrate New Year's with the people that actually believe in these teachings. Before that, I will be scheduling the talk or lesson or whatever on the actual Nazarean calendar, so that we can go through and see all this. The calendar was literally given to Abdiel in the Garden of Eden, so it was like told how many months the days would have, how many days the weeks would have, all of the details, what different communions would happen on the days of the weeks. All of those things were laid out at the very beginning. So, when people say, oh, in nature, we don't see a 7-day calendar. Well, we might not, but according to at least our scriptures, God and Goddess are the ones that establish that at the very beginning. So, I plan to talk about that before the 21st. Maybe that'll be the lesson on the 21st. We'll see. But yeah, super excited. Hi, Bob. How's it going? Bob says, I have the Holy Megillah. Thank you again, Inanna, and carry it around to impress all my friends. Truth be told, I have not read enough to do it justice. Oh, that's so cool that you carry it around and, yeah, get to at least plant some seeds and talk to people about it. I'm really excited to hear what you think about, like the story of Adam and Eve, and even the different story, like the dynamic between Moses and Aaron, and how these people were brought out of Egypt, and the story is just so much different. And to me, at least, these teachings make way more sense. They're of a higher spiritual grade vibe. And so, yeah, cool. Bob says, however, I appreciate an honest podcast and hope she is saving them. Oh, thanks. I have been downloading them recently. I'm also in supporting interested in supporting a Coles Notes type of initiative. I'm not really sure what that means, but I can look into it and maybe talk about it at 3:30 because my computer just went off and I can't really go off of this. So cool. David D says the homunculus story is crazy. I definitely agree. I've been getting to do a little bit of research on that, and I'm not really sure what you know all about that. I know that you know a little bit about like the genetic side and like the experimental science or whatever kind of side of that. But the history that we've been told about this stuff is kind of interesting. I've been looking into. So I will be planning to share that with you all at 3:30. Hopefully you'll join me and, bring whatever other topics that you might want to discuss. I hope that you have a wonderful afternoon, and I'll catch you at 3:30. May God and may God bless you.